It's not ready. Do you think it really goes that far? That, ladies and gentlemen, is Edward Buck, greatest runner alive.
I've just got back from a run today, this morning. I just did 8 miles easy. I just had a shower and stuff. So I'm just going to show you how I recover from a run and how to recover faster from running in general. So first of all, I'm going to eat one of these. It's a Trek bar, protein flapjack. I really like these. They just really help recovery. So I've just had my Trek bar now. So after I've done that, after I've eaten the Trek bar, so just to get a little bit of carbs, protein into my system right away. I'm going to foam roll out. So to start with, for foam rolling out, simply foam roll over my hamstrings. So this is an old foam roller, so it's slightly noisy. Yeah. So yeah, obviously I've used this foam roller for years now. So because I've used it for years, the foam's kind of, I wouldn't say degraded, but folded on itself a bit. Hence the noise. My legs are a bit sore today. Okay, so after doing your hamstrings, I am going to do my calves. So okay, so make sure to just get all the calves, so just the inside, outside. Just look for any tight spots, just iron them out. If there are any tight spots, pay close attention to them. Okay, now the glutes, so just stick one leg out to your glutes, just allows you to get in a bit deeper. So just nice and gentle, easy massage. So I mean, there's a debate out there whether like foam rolling actually helps. I think it does help. So what foam rolling for me does, it's just like a little nice massage. So it just helps iron out like any tight spots you may have. And because I'm not that much of a flexible person as it is, any tight spots I do have can become like really tight for me. And I've suffered a lot from muscle strains in the past, and I found foam rolling to certainly help with that. Okay, so I've just done my glutes, so next thing, odds up, because I'm now going to do my back. And whenever you wear a hoodie, and you foam roll out, and you do roll over your back, always a good idea to put your hood up. Otherwise, you end up hanging, well, not hanging, but you end up strangling yourself. I've done it many a time. It's not nice, sometimes I get stuck for a bit. So try not to clear yourself while foam rolling. Always make sure your hood's up. So. Okay, so now I'm going to do my head. So to do this, I'm just going to literally just do a few yes nods and then a few no nods, just on the foam roller. Okay, so this one feels quite nice for anyone with a little bit of tightness in the neck. Okay, next one. So we're now going to foam roll out our quads. Do this So you just lay on the foam roller like so. Lay on the foam roller like so and just go up and down. So again, similar to our calves and hamstrings, we just want to make sure we're like rotating our legs whilst we do this, so we get the inside and the outside of the quad. Just like this. Okay, nearly there. And last foam rolling exercise, just going to foam roll out our shins. So just put your shin on and apply as much weight as you want. This one can be very painful if you apply all your body weight, so sometimes it's a good idea not to do that. So again, go as intense as you want to with foam rolling. Okay, so that's it for foam rolling. We'll move on to stretches. Okay, so to kickstart the stretching, we're just going to do a little bit of a child's pose into downward dog. I think that's what it's called. I'm not too big on the yoga, but so yeah, to simply do that, just kind of like sit back like so. Just a little bit of reaching, just the shoulders a little bit. Oh. And well, going to this, I think it is the Sphinx position. Again, not too big on the yoga. Just to kind of stretch out our back and stuff. It's important to make sure your back doesn't get overly tight when you're running. And it's something often neglected with runners, our backs, because generally with runners, what we focus on is legs mostly, but we need to focus on the whole body. Because when one part of our body gets tight, in particular our postural muscles in our back, that then affects the position of how we run. It affects the position on how we run. We won't necessarily be running as efficiently as we want to. Okay, so now we're doing some like downward dogs, just to stretch out the calves a little bit. Okay, just wiggle your feet and stuff. Like just a little bit of movement. There, so this is kind of like just preparing our body for stretching. And then we'll do the same thing again, but this time we can go back, have our knees out so we get our groin. And stretch our groin. Okay, and up. Okay. Right, so once we're in this position, okay, we're then just going to kick one of our legs up, bring it up to our hand, and then just reach. Do a few reaches. Okay. So now we're going to start our stretches. So to start with, we're just going to stretch out our hip flexors. So to do this, I'm going to squeeze my right glute. My left leg is forward. I'm going to reach up as well. So try and maintain a tall posture and squeeze that right glute. And so you should feel a stretch right down the front of your thigh here. Okay, so this is a very good stretch for us runners, because our hip flexors, particularly like student runners, student athletes, and just runners who generally, have a day job like sitting down at a desk, it's good to stretch out your hip flexors, because when you're in a sit down position, your hip flexors can become overly tight. If they become overly tight, it affects your posture, affects how you run, effectively, meaning you could be not running as efficiently as you possibly could. Okay, good. Now we'll do our hamstrings. So again, linked to our hip flexors, to do our hamstrings first of all, just lean forward, bring that left foot forward a bit, and then we're just going to sit back and trying to straighten that left leg out as far as we can. So I'm not that flexible. This is about as far as I can stretch out. So not that far at all. So I can't touch my toes. So all these stretches any runner can do, because I mean, there's not that many runners who'd be more inflexible than me, but even still, this is like, you know, coming from someone who's not flexible. So if you are more flexible, you can do these stretches and go a bit deeper, just do get bigger range of motion, but I'm not too flexible, so yeah. So yeah, back to our hamstrings. So our hamstrings, again, if we sat down for a lot of the time during the day, our hamstrings, as well as our hip flexors, become overly tight. That again affects our posture and how we run. So how it does that. So imagine if you sat down, okay, in like a position, sat down, your glutes disengage, your hip flexors get tight, and your hamstrings are in a tight position because they're in a contracted position. So what that means is when you run, you end up running in this slight sat down position, which means you have a greater bend in your knee, and you just lose that power in your glutes. So if you can try and engage your glutes, run tall, let your hamstrings and hip flexors, which aren't overly tight, or if you keep your hamstrings and hip flexors not too tight, then it means you'll be able to run tall with good posture and get all that power in your stride. Okay, so back to our stretches. So next stretch we're going to do is our quad stretch. So to do this, I'm just going to reach behind us and grab our foot. Okay, so my left leg's forward, I'm grabbing my right foot. Okay, so you can just grab a cushion because this isn't enough padding here. So yeah, don't be afraid to grab a cushion here. So I suggest getting like a yoga mat or something if you have like hardwood floor, because it does make these stretches just a little bit easier. Okay, we'll just hold this for a little bit. So this is my full recovery routine that I'm showing now. I would do after like a run. I generally do this probably once a day, except for if my legs are just, well, I don't feel like I want to stretch that day because my legs are really, really sore. But that doesn't happen very often. And again, yeah, the debating is out there on stretching, whether it's good, bad. I find only like static stretching, like what we're doing now, is a very good way of helping your body relax and recover after a run. It helps relax your muscles. For a run, this is not a good idea, but dynamic stretching, you know, like active movements, are much better. Yeah, and the next stretch we're going to do, just going to stretch out our glutes, so just bring that left knee up and then just lean over. So yeah, so dynamic stretching definitely before a run, so active, you know, like leg swings, lunges, that's that sort of thing. Definitely good. Static stretching after a run. So I find for me it helps release the tightness in my muscles, and just helps prevent that, you know, tightness from building up too much and then creating problems like strains and stuff. And I have suffered a lot from strains in the past, and I did find bone rolling, stretching and strength training are the only ways you can prevent muscle strains, or they're the best ways to prevent muscle strains. So make sure you pay attention to that. But in particular, yeah, stretching just helps maintain that little range of motion. Well, I don't have much range of motion, so it's important for me to stretch, so I just maintain my range of motion. So yeah, we're just going to now repeat that sequence on the other side. So our right leg forward this time. So yeah, there's two kinds of nervous systems involved, or two general kinds of nervous systems. So you have your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight, flight, adrenaline, run. So that nervous system's used for when you prepare yourself for exercise and during exercise, during races as well. It's the one that gets you fired up, your body ready to go, ready for high activity. And then you have the reverse of that system, your rest and digest nervous system, or your parasympathetic nervous system. And after a run, you want to be in that rest and digest state. And I find stretching, like what we're doing now, is a very good way of getting into that relaxed rest digest state. And that's what you want to do to recover from a run quickly. You want to get into that rest and digest state. If you don't like stretch, or you don't like run around, you like to I don't know, like a class, or you got to go somewhere really quickly, you just got an appointment or something, and you don't have enough time to stretch and stuff, your body's then going to be in that sympathetic, or that fight, flight state until the stress of the thing that you're going to is over. But it would be basically you're hindering your recovery, because it would take longer to get your body into that rest and digest state. So try and make time for just a little cool down after a run. So you don't have to do all these stretches. These are all the stretches I do. You can do just a few, just to just help your body recover. Okay, so just going to finish this up now. Oh. So in terms of eating your meals, so I think the time now is, what is it? It's 12:35. So I will be getting my lunch after I've done my stretches. It's important to make sure you're eating enough when you're training, and eating the right fuel as well. So I'm going to have a spaghetti bolognese for my lunch. If you don't eat enough whilst you're training, you'll just be under-fueled for your next run, and it'll be a lot harder. Especially important to fuel when you're doing lots of mileage, lots of training, because you're just not going to have the energy to do important workouts and on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So we're almost finished with this look at the stretches now. Okay, so the next stretch, we're just going to stretch out our groin a bit, so feet together and just kind of push our knees to the floor, so you can see how unflexible I am, because my knees, I have just about 100 degrees, or just over 90 degrees range of motion here in my groin, which is, not that good. Again, I'm a runner. Runners don't need that much flexibility in their groins, because we're not moving. You don't need to do the splits whilst we run. So next stretch, I'm just going to hold on to the unit whilst I do this one. So just going to stretch out. I'm just going to hold a deep squat for a little bit. So yeah, this position looks funny. Yeah, it's I find this is a very good position to hold, just terms of maintaining that flexibility in your ankles, your knees, your hips. It's a nice one. If you have to hold on to something whilst doing the stretch, I suggest you do. It's better to do the stretch with your heels on the floor, or your feet flat on the floor, and to do it like that, because then you're not getting that range of motion in your hips and your ankles. Okay, so next stretch, I'll just stand back for this one. Just going to do the straightforward quad stretch. you know, the one that everyone does. Everyone's done this stretch at some point. So I'm just bringing my heel up to my bum, and then I'm just going to hold this. So you'll notice that when I've been stretching out my quads and stuff, I've been rotating like my hip inwards and outwards, and that's just to kind of target different areas of the quad. Making sure that I'm just seeing like which parts of my quads are more sore than others, because there's 3 muscles in your quads. You've got your inner quad muscle, your middle quad muscle, and your outer quad muscle. Or your, again, I'm not a sports scientist or a physiotherapist. I don't know the names of the muscles. I know that there is 3 muscles there, but if you rotate inwards and outwards, it can you'll be targeting the inside and the outside quad muscles as well, not just the middle one. Okay, so we're now doing it on both legs. So you'll notice that we also stretched our quads earlier, so I like to stretch my quads again. I generally stretch the major muscle groups at least twice, or 2 different stretches. It's just good to stretch them again. Okay, now we're going to stretch out our calves. Again, this is a stretch that everyone's done at some point. So if I was to say like you were short on time when doing these stretches routine, so I would just recommend, or if you like don't have access to a mat or something, I recommend doing the second half of these stretches at least, so they shouldn't take too long, these ones, because at least doing some form of stretching just to kind of relax your muscles and to some degree is better than not doing stretching when you know your muscles are tight, sore. Okay, so another thing people would use for recovery, I don't have access to this at home, but I do have access to this in San Francisco. You know, it's an ice bath and hot ice bath and hot bath, so you know you can do that contrasting. We're just going to stretch out our hamstrings, so just going to lean forward to do that. And yeah, so some people think contrast is good, some people like it. I know a lot of my teammates like it. I think it's great, great thing. I think it can help recovery in some cases. I do think it's best saved for when you want to recover from like something faster. But if you don't contrast, you get, I think I've read somewhere you can get more adaptations, you know, from not doing like an ice bath from training rather than doing an ice bath. But yeah, so you can see how unflexible I am because I am nowhere near touching my toes doing this stretch. Okay. And if you just lean forward a bit, put more of your weight towards the front of your foot, you can actually get a bit more range of motion out. So yeah, so technically I can touch my toes, you know, if I lift my toes up, but I still have a slight bend when I'm doing that. Okay. So next stretch, we're going to do the warrior stretch. So to do this, simply reach over like that. So we're just going to stretch out. And yeah, don't forget to breathe, obviously, while stretching. I mean, it goes without saying, you should breathe, but you can kind of like control your breathing. It kind of like can be good for just that mental relaxation as well after a run, if you focus on your breathing. So we're nearly there with the stretches now. Final few stretches, so we are just going to stretch. I'm just going to stretch out my glutes again. So bring my right leg up over my left knee, and then bring my left knee to my chest. And I'm just going to hold this for a little bit and wiggle my ankles at the same time. So yeah, it's important just to make sure you do some ankle rotations at some point. Ankle rotations can be a good way of finding if there's any issues in your lower legs, ankles, feet, that you may have, you know, like tendinitis and stuff. And we don't tend to use our full ankle range of motion a lot on a day-to-day basis, unless we do like ankle rotations. And again. So maybe there now. So yeah, you might have also noticed just beforehand that I internally rotate my hip, so my foot moves outwards. By doing this, it just helps target the other area of glutes, other area of the glutes. Okay. Right, and then we've got our last stretch to do. So to do this, left leg out, right leg over our left leg, and then right arm over our right side. So this is my favourite stretch to do. It helps if you have any lower back pain or glute pain. This one just feels very nice. Just helps release any tension there. I'll do it on either side, and then that was us done for stretching. So this is my full stretching routine. Again, if I don't have time, I'll only do select a few of these stretches I want to do. I find doing the full routine is the best. Best thing to do. I won't do this after every run. I'll probably only do it if I do like a double run. I'd only do it after one of those runs, usually the bigger run. But yeah, that's my stretching routine.
That's a good wisdom.